Om Tat Sat. My humble prostrations to the all pervading Brahman, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, to sage Narada, and all the sages and saints, and to each of you, divine soul, watching today's satsang. So, today we will be starting a new chapter, chapter number 2 of the Narada Bhakti Sutras. It's called The Glory of Supreme Devotion or Mahima of Parabhakti. Commentaries by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji, and narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So let's get started on Sutra number 25 from the Glory of Supreme Devotion, chapter number 2. And the sutra is Sa tu कर्म ज्ञान योगेभ्यो अपि अधिकतरा. Again, सा तु कर्म ज्ञान योगेभ्यो अपि adhikatara, meaning that divine love, when distinguished from others, is even greater than the yoga of action, the yoga of wisdom, and the yoga of meditation. So let's introspect on this sutra. This means that there are four aspects to a human personality, and therefore integrating it is called integral yoga. So we have karma yoga, which is selfless service or action. Then we have bhakti, devotion, and then meditation or will, and then jnana or reason. And we need to, these are like instruments of a veena or a musical instrument. They all need to be in harmony. If they are not, it will be, the musical instrument will not produce the right music, the right notes, and it will be rather discordant. So we need to make sure that all those are in perfect alignment. And even though the sutra says it is superior, we will slowly discuss that in more detail. But first we need to understand that these four go hand in hand. But what sage Narada is guiding us, that bhakti is a supremely deep aspect, and it helps us greatly. And even in karma, in jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, Rajasutra yogas of Patanjali, all these sages and saints have sung the glory of Ishwar Pranidhana, bhakti, devotion. For example, in Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Upanishad, as you know, is the divine wisdom from the Vedas. It says, emphasizing the need of devotion for the promotion of wisdom, it is required. So even the Upanishads, who are the epitome of wisdom, everybody, all the scientific community even, is trying to understand the depth of the Upanishads and the Vedas. And even those say, he who has intense devotion to God and as much devotion to Guru. So such a devotee really looks at the physical human personality in the form of his guru and the ultimate God as the same, because he's not looking at the body level. We have to understand what a true guru is. A guru is an element, it's a tattva and the teaching, but it comes through the body of a realized guru. So therefore, if a devotee has the same devotion to a guru and to God, for him the truths of Vedanta will shine forth indeed. So even there, this devotion is required. We have so far seen the practice of yoga in its disciplinary aspects. What that means is we are on the early stages of yoga, so we have to take the steps. For example, when we are just starting bhakti, that bhakti is not supreme devotion, that is just initial devotion, where we start to pray and we have an idol and we light a candle. All those things are the initial steps to take us to the higher step. Same thing with knowledge. Initially we go through the basic steps of knowledge, and then it turns into intuitive intellect or jnana. So that is the difference. And sage Narada in this sutra is of the opinion that the path of devotion, even if in its secondary state, even when we are basically learning how to sing the arti, chant the kirtan, the mantras, that is, it's more potent than the path of wisdom. and action and meditation. So he still thinks if we perform a bhakti, love of God, that is very powerful. In pursuing the path of devotion, an aspirant seeks an increasing awareness of divine love in a movement characterized by humility, self effacement, surrender. So, these are the attributes that we have to start feeling when we are doing our initial bhakti, because that is what takes us to the higher stages of supreme devotion. And these attributes, they are absolutely indispensable for true spiritual evolution. If we are to truly evolve as realized people and get self realization in this very life, then we have to adopt these simple methods of compassion, humility, self effacement, etc. So, further progress is the emotional aspect of one's personality, and it's more directly related to one's deeper experiences than in reason only, will and action. So basically this comes more naturally, because as the feelings evolve, bhakti is from the heart. It generates and opens up the feeling aspect. So an awakening of sublime feeling thrills one's whole being, quickens the functions of reason, and will produce an effect integration of the personality. So that is what sage Narada thinks, that it is important that we have this important aspect of bhakti. Therefore, even at the sadhana level, sadhana means the initial disciplinary stage where we are maintaining a certain rhythm towards devotion, the path of devotion excels other aspects of yoga. So this is what sage means. Love of God removes obstacles from the path, bringing about concentration of mind, intensifies our spiritual aspiration, and it fortifies an aspirant against the temptations of the world. So it gives us the strength to be able to resist the sense pleasures, and enables him to draw spiritual strength through divine grace, and secures his success on the spiritual path. So like in every aspect, whether it's reason, jnana, bhakti, or karma, all these are aspects, but the bhakti is the most natural, because there is a sweetness to it, there is a emotion to it. And that's why sage Narada and these sutras are called Narada Bhakti Sutras. So from that aspect it is being explained. So bhakti is a natural tendency that needs to be enhanced. That this is why the path of divine love is given great importance by all sages and saints. Just like I mentioned, even in the Upanishads, even in the meditation also, sage Patanjali talks about Ishwar Pranidhanatvat. So he says, in addition to your self effort, you have to surrender to God, because we are limited, but that universal energy is unlimited. So when we ask with humility and respect, we get that energy and we get the blessings. So therefore the intention of this sutra, very important to understand, it is not superior or inferior. So when we are saying bhakti is higher than jnana or karma or dhyana, that don't take it literally. What that means is that you need these aspects of bhakti, devotion, humility, compassion, so that your jnana, so that your dhyana, and so that your karma can enhance. Because the problem is, in the other aspects there is a great risk of the ego to come in, for us to think, oh, I'm doing so much good work, so much charity to the world, etc. Or when we have too much knowledge, our head may swell up and puff up, and therefore we may fall from our graces. That's why if we have bhakti, the other three can easily join in. So it is still a holistic process from the integral yoga perspective. So that is the essence of this sutra, sutra number 25. So we will cover sutra number 26 tomorrow. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.